for the serious gamer.
Hello Internet, and welcome to my submission for week 2 of the NGT Director Contest semifinals. Some of you may have found it a little difficult to track down my submission from week 1, largely because it never went up. Things didn't work out and I had some pretty intense stomach issues that took a lot of my time. The video just didn't go up in a timely fashion, and it didn't work out. But I want to say a huge thanks to Spiderbite and Guns for Hire for going ahead and allowing me to continue in the competition. And to atone for my mistake to you, the viewer, I've gone ahead and uploaded the 2 videos I would have had in the contest on my own YouTube channel, King Kufu, K-I-N-G-K-U-F-U. It was the least I can do, especially if you are really if you liked my videos and were really looking forward to it. My bad, that's all I can say. I'm also getting a live stream set up, so in the future, you can get just more content, or you can give live feedback, and I can definitely help work with you if you're interested in Starcraft. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and throw out my identifier, so if you're on there, you can go ahead and check out all that fun stuff. There it was. Anyways, we got to get back to the game. Here's Clyde. Some say that his sweat can be used to clean precious metals, and if you insult his mother, he will headbutt you in the face. But back to more important stuff. As you can see, I was trying to block his gateway, or at least slow it down and delay it a little bit, which would be ideal. Any kind of annoyance like that is not only a time waster, but it's also a mental annoyer, which is kind of in topic for what we're going to be doing today, because the topic of the video I'm going into, or I've decided to theme, is player mentality. I'm playing Big Bad Beaver, and for whatever reason, Battle.net has in its more times than I would like to remember, especially because he is a far better player than me. I only win about 20 or 30% of the games I play against him. And he sent everything at me. He's done a pylon right here to kind of slow down my fast expand. He's dropped some pylons and photon cannons over here to kind of pin me into one base. He's done a 4-gate, he's done a 1-gateway forge kind of wall off on Lost Temple into a fast expand. He's gone 2-gateway, 1 robo. He has sent everything at me. So I'm paranoid whenever I play against him, because I have no idea what he's going to do, which is kind of similar to what happens if you play a good friend. You've seen what they like, what they don't like, and you never really know what's going to happen, because most importantly, they could break the pattern at any time, and if you're just blindly countering what they're doing based off of based off what they've done in the past, you could be completely mistaken, because every game starts with both players at the same point. You're even, just even as can be. Now, the game started off with a 13 gateway, and I think 16 cybernetic core, around there. Don't quote me too much on that. But because I've played against him and I'm paranoid, I've gotten a delayed fast expand and a quick spawning pool, because I subconsciously felt more comfortable having a bit of an army to protect myself from him, because he's just better than me, and for whatever reason I wanted to be as safe as I could, and I thought that having an army was a pretty safe thing to do. I've gone ahead and done a 19 hatchery. That's what it's called. I'm a good Starcraft player. But anyways, I've done a 19 hatchery, which is it's a fairly slow expand for Zerg, especially against Protoss. The problem with getting the early spawning pool that I did have is you're going to get an army quicker. However, that means it's going to hurt your economy. You won't be able to make as many drones, and your saturation won't be as great. Look at that saturation right there, and then look at that, and here are the numbers for you. He's close to double my numbers, which, as the game progresses on longer, hurts me even more. However, that's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem I make in the game, by far, is I get an early army. As we can see, I definitely have more invested. And this is just now. If we go back, we're at 650 now. If we go back to, let's say, oh, not there. Okay, that was a bad example too. If we go back, okay, that's still a bad example. Okay, apparently I'm going to give up on examples, because when I try and do that, things don't work out at all. But anyways, take my word for it, I spent more time and more resources on building an army than I did in economy, and that really hurt me in the long run, because we can just see his economy is booming over mine. and I'm really going to pay for that later on. Now this Zergling came up here to kind of see what he had. I just want to know if he had just 1 or 2 zealots right here, or if he had like an army kind of like this, because if he only has a zealot or 2 right here, you know he probably has a Stargate or a Robo or a Twilight Council or a Dark Shrine or something like that hidden in the back of the base he doesn't want you to see. And you know he's probably investing minerals elsewhere because he doesn't have an army, especially for these gas-intensive units. Now, when he did throw down his gateway, he got 1 zealot and then a stalker. The stalker was to kill any drones or zerglings kind of running around, and the stalkers are great at that. They're so quick. They're amazing for that. But this game's more about mentality than actual tactics, so I'll go ahead and get to that kind of deal. One thing I could have done better, though, is spread my creep by far and hold this watchtower and put a zergling there and a zergling there and a zergling there to get information. Information is more important in this game than just about anything. It's one of the most underrated things by low-level players. However, if we take a look at my cam, I know that he has an expansion going up and he's got 1 gateway, which is such a given that it helps me out with nothing at all. And I don't get Overlord speed, and I don't scout or send in a sacrificial Overlord to kind of improve my vision, so I'm playing blind here, which is horrible because I have all these different iterations of what he's done in the past kind of confusing my judgment, and it just doesn't work out. In fact, I get I upgrade to lair, and for a second I don't even know what I'm going to do with it when it finishes. I have no plan. I don't have my economy in any specific order to handle mutas. It's all off balance. Hydras maybe. But anyways, we come back to here. If you see, my economy is finally catching up, but he's had his economy running at a higher rate for longer, so he has more minerals over history, over time, which means that he's at the point where he's getting the highest reward from initial start point investment in terms of army, and we can see that count right there, because I went for an early army and then an economy later. If this game lasted half an hour, then I'm going to pause it for a second. If this game lasted half an hour, we would eventually catch up. If you kind of imagine my mouse as the graph, and this is time and this is army value, when I got my quick army, my army didn't really grow that quickly, as opposed to Big Bad Beaver, who got a early economy. His army didn't grow for a while, but when it did, it could grow a lot quicker. And they both mine and his graphs end up in this relative area at this point in time, because that's when it evens out. However, he's had more minerals through all here. He was just a little more vulnerable. That was horrible attempt at a graph. I might go ahead and kind of superimpose one on the end of this video, but anyways, let's get back to the game. Actually, I'll do that at the end of the video. Let's get back to the game. Where are we? Okay, 2 queens, creep not getting spread at all. I'm not scouting well. I think I barely know he's out there, but it's not going well for me at all. My army's horribly outmatched. His economy is better than mine, and all things are pointing to disaster. And at this point, I saw what he had, I think earlier when he pushed out and killed my lang, and I'm freaking out. I have no idea what I'm going to do. And he has his detector out, which is just, I see his detector too, but there's not much I can do about it. I could warp in an overseer, but right now I know I need units more than I need to get rid of that thing. The damage is done. He's already seen what I had. I need units. I don't need to spend that much money. I wasn't going to try to remember off the top of my head on an overseer, which won't have any practical battle purpose unless he had a Dark Templar, which was unlikely. Now we're getting into the fight, so I'll be a little more critical. Let's snap it on to, no, it's not. My queen goes out. That was kind of a queued up thing, which is sad because the timing was horrible. And my army gets severed by force fields. Force field is one of the most powerful spells in the game. Gonna pause it again. If you are a Protoss player and you do not use force fields, you really need to. It would definitely be in the top 3 spells in the entire game, up with Yamato Cannon and Hardened Shield and every burrow and larval injection. Vortex for the mothership. It is one of the best spells in the game because it lasts for 15 seconds. Each sentry at full energy can cast 4, which is basically about that much room. You can just sever the effectiveness of an army. You can drop a force field there and just have everything kind of spread out. You can decide how much you want to bite off at each time. It is painfully annoying. Make sure to use that if you're Protoss. Anyways, I digress. Back to the game. It's not looking well. I've lost the game a long time ago. I kind of know what's going on. I know failure is imminent, and no. So a lot of the things I did wrong just from a tactical standpoint. I didn't scout nearly enough. 100 minerals in Zergling is 2 food and 4 Zerglings. You can drop one here, drop one here, drop one there, and drop one there. And you know if he tries to expand this way, this Zergling is going to give you information. You have global information from there. If this Zergling sees anything, or excuse me, if this Zergling gets killed off, you know that's because he... Actually, that would be a better placement for him. If he gets killed off, you'll get a little warning on your minimap and on your voice, and you'll be able to see what he has because this Zergling will have a quick view, and if he's pushed out too much to like this area, this Zergling at the Zelnaga Tower, or this one here, will tell you what he has. So immediately you know what he's going to do before he comes in. It gives you a few seconds to kind of get yourself together and get ready to go. Now, when you play Protoss, you can almost always assume that an observer will come out. 9 times out of 10 it's going to happen. So when you finish a lair, getting an overseer is not a bad idea off the start. I got a very, very slow expansion relative to how I wanted to play the game, or how I played the game later on, so that was a mistake. I didn't have a plan for my lair. I did get quick link speed. What is a couple other problems? I engaged him over here, which is not good. Zerg is best when you can fully surround the Protoss. Protoss love to fight. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Protoss love to fight when you can only attack this one front, and especially when you can only attack this one front, and they push all your range back with force fields over there. They smile, they grin. It is Christmas in Lost Temple. Another mistake. His economy beat me the entire game, and I did not validate. We're at 12, 16. I know I can go back and show you this one. Alright, never mind. That was a fail. Alright, this army right here is, what is that? 8? Yeah, that's 8. That's 200 minerals, which is 4 drones. It had no value. It didn't scout, it didn't harass, it didn't kind of try and draw this zealot out here to where I can kind of slip in with my quicker speed in here and do some damage here and keep his probes off the line. It had no value, which was no bueno. That was a big mistake. But anyways, we'll get back to the actual battle and finish up this quick video, which is not very quick at all. We see the force fields, they dissipate. God, I'm so jealous of Protoss for that. More than, I gotta pause again, more jealous than Chrono Boost, than Observers, Dark Templar, Warp Gates, Force Field. It's amazing. Every Zerg player hates it, and Terran probably do too. And I imagine Protoss, I think anybody who doesn't have it hates it. Anyways, not going to pause the game again. Gotta let it finish. It's not going well. I know that the only way I can win is if I fight him when I can have the biggest concave possible. I know that he has army value. Oh my god, does he have army value. It's not good. A bad rally point cost me a lot of minerals too. When I initially attack, I send in all my drones because I know this wouldn't work out. And he has beautiful... I know I promised not to pause it again, but I gotta point out, he has beautiful Stalker micro because he does it like this. Instead of trying to click on that one and blink it back and click on that one and blink it back, he just goes, I'm gonna blink a couple back. I'm just gonna box like that many and blink them back. So, whoops, hit the blink key. So, I know I'm getting the one that's weak, but more importantly, I'm not ever doing too little. Of course, this one, let's say he got blinked back with this one over there, with that one specifically. While those guys didn't need to take damage, the cooldown is 10 seconds, which is more than enough time for you to blink back this entire army, and you never let one go. It doesn't really do anything. There's no real, casting period. It's pretty awesome. Just watch it again. Alright, that was bad. There we go. 2 at a time, 2 at a time, 2 at a time. He's very, very good. That is amazing micro, which is so annoying. And even these Hydras, which are, for Zerg, they're pretty ideal for taking out Stalkers. His micro is just so good. You have to have enough to kill this army over twice, essentially. while he can just wail on you the entire time. It's not going well. I pop out panic lings. The game's gone. I drop a panic hatchery so I can get more larvae out because I didn't spend my resources well at all. He had me from the start just because I was not in the zone. But that is finishing up the game. I've given you my identifier, and I'll give you stream information later on. Just a quick recap of all the announcements and stuff. Stream information later on when I get something official set up. And my identifier for Battle.net. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's pretty much it. The game's over. There's no hope winning. These spine crawlers, when his initial attack came, I threw these down, these would be very, very helpful. However, that's not the case. And at any rate, it would have been more of a holdout than actually make a difference. But that has been my submission for one of the 2 videos for week 2, which is technically my first submission. Kind of embarrassing. I hope you liked it. Leave comments in the doobly-doo below, which is a rip from SXE Phil. He's also a good YouTuber. But just leave comments. Let me know what I did great, what I did poorly, what you would like to see more of, less of, and anything in general, really. Just drop stuff down. I'm open to all kind of constructive criticism. And look at that. He was nice enough to give me a GG+. I feel special. Anyways, that's it for me. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care, everyone. I'm going to try adding this to the end of all my games. Here's a stat sheet for 1v1 on Big Bad Beaver. Pretty gnarly, huh?